What's up, everybody? Alrighty, so let's get this show on the road. So, we have a couple of different pieces to this thing tonight. This is going to be building an array that conjures up, or at least can help facilitate conjuring up spirits of the other world, those that have passed. I'm going to be using the blend that I mixed up for the crossing of the gate ceremony that I used the other night for the Brotherhood of Witches group, as a base on which the powders will be applied. The other things that we've got, so we've got the sterling silver spiral on the piece of leather, we have the array itself, and we have a piece of papyrus with the numerical square of earth. All the numbers across and down in each row add to the number either 10, which reduces to 1. In this case being the numbers of the planet Earth, so both 1 and 0, the binary system of creation. So onto that, I'm going to be placing the extract of tobacco as a facilitator for the offering. So just going to paint that on. The reason I use this is so that it's both as an offering and as a connection to those that have come before. You know, as it's the ingredients used to make the ink of the earth is you're essentially creating a gateway of the earth using a stone that's associated specifically to the planet, and then the ink a little bit of an animal component to it. So in this case, it's been so long since I've made the original blend that I use. It's just been fermenting, so to speak. So I'll go back through, and as I do a video on how to make the various inks, they also contain a spiritual egg inside. So in all of the inks, I keep a piece of Apache tear, which is a piece of obsidian that is used to hold the spirit of the dead, in which case the graveyard dirt that this is mixed with. So this way we have the application of all of it. Be careful not to get any of the tobacco on you. You don't want the tobacco and the toxins in the tobacco to cross the skin barrier, so you got to be careful on how you do that. I should have used gloves, but I don't have any. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue tonight. So while that's still wet, I've got an ingredient blend here that I pre-prepared. It's for a journey, for enduring the struggle of the path and helping to resolve uncertainty. So as we cross the threshold in the gates, that whatever we're doing becomes a pathway through. So I've mentioned before that I make a lot of spell totems. And by making spell totems, what that allows me to do is to create physical representations of the compound of density. In this case, the array grid itself. And this is the spirit anchoring formula that I use. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on here. And then that will get absorbed in through the oils that will be on the back side of this paper. Now, the back side of this paper is, this stuff is for watercolors, so it's designed to basically take a beating as far as how wet it can get. The tricky part on this is that the PVA glue and the leather bond to the array circle so that there's no, what's the word, lifting of the edges. So that way what stays inside stays actually inside. So you're making a spell pouch out of the sacred geometry pattern that you use. The pattern that I selected tonight is for the crossing of the gates of Saturn through the earth and into the underworld. So that by doing the necromantic work, today being the last day of All Souls and being on the point of transition, that when I go out and give the apple to the earth tonight, that'll have a little bit of my own blood mixed onto it as a pay in advance, so to speak, not just for my dead, but for others that have crossed, so that they can get nourishment. This way, nobody's left out of the conversation. You want to be able to do this in such a way where you're creating a circle and a binding spell all at the same time. So you're giving it something that was alive, so that the spirit can ride the back of the animal, in this case a cow, from the other world to this world. The use of the sterling silver is what I use to contain energy in my other practices that I don't want to get into on public camera, at least not on this video. Those will be for a later conversation, as they don't necessarily apply. But you can use other metals. You can use copper if you're trying to connect it directly to the earth, but not necessary in this case. So the square of the earth is lined up where the circle here spirals into the circle here. So you're creating that counterclockwise flow, which pulls the energy clockwise in through the center. So we get this lined up here, and we glue down the top. And now we have a fully formed array that will be used for necromantic summoning spells. So that all you have to do is put this on the grave, and it's fully active. Now, the thing about the ink that's mixed in with this is that it is mixed with cemetery dirt, it's mixed with Herkimer quartz crystals, it's mixed with some herbal compounds that I use that I'll be getting more into in the Speaking with the Dead challenge. So if you're not a part of that, I recommend you do so, because tomorrow I'll be talking about it. This video is going to be their homework assignment to go through and to replicate this kind of alchemical construction where you've got both sacred geometry and alchemy mixed into the ink, and then you've made a full-on spell totem and pouch on the backside. So this would function in the similar way as a conjure mirror would. So you can have this reflected underneath your crystal ball, and you can conjure the spirits into it. In this particular case, I'm using a piece of apophyllite that sits dead center here, and on the very top, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a pyramid shape, but the capstone is flat. So when I'm doing work with spirits, then the top becomes the meeting point. So as the energy gets drawn up from the earth, as it blends with the array itself, all of the things and all of the components come together. So then when I'm working with a specific spirit, I'll put cemetery dirt or location dirts in each of these 3 points to create the movement of the flow. So as it works, it compresses the vital spirit, the mind, and the body, and giving it a new form through which dowsing rods and various other energies can be pulled from the earth into this plane temporarily, using the crystal as an intermediary by which to do that. Cleaning these suckers when you are not using it. Because it's apophyllite, you can get it wet. Running your stuff with salt, I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Watch out for sunlight because you might burn your house down. Otherwise, with these, it works out just really good if you pass it through incense smoke and you allow the smoke to clear the stone. But the neat thing is, stones will clear themselves. If you set it on a piece of selenite, if you set it on a piece of tourmaline, the energy will neutralize if you stop using it. If you don't stick it around something that cleanses it, it will actually act as a generator and just keep storing all of that energy. So every time you connect with the other world using that particular stone, it facilitates the gate transition for you. So that way what you're building and what you're constructing allows for you to create an intermediary plane where you can get the manifestations of, say, the orbs with the intangible forms. Like the other night doing a summoning spell to open the gates to the underworld to allow others to cross through and to allow my own spirit to cross through. It let me really get full visuals of bringing the other world spirits to this plane. Like there were orbs that came down from the northeast and entered the circle and passed through, so that there was true spirit interaction from an external source that was able to come into my work and to help facilitate that. So we're going to be replicating that bigger ritual in miniature with these techniques. So this is how I put a spell array together in this case. It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically for necromancy, but it's the compound of the thing that was alive, the papyrus with the number squares, with the ink of the planet and all the numbers, so that way we represent the totality of all in all its potential outcomes, the 0 and the 1. So if the world is all based on waveforms and binary code, then we can include that. But we're also including the spirit anchoring blend and the journey blend, so that the journey of the spirit can come through the intermediary of the array itself and be formed through the gateway as we use it. So hopefully that clarifies how to construct the array. So until next time, my friends, stay safe, okay?